Good afternoon. It's Sunday, December 10th, 2023, 3 p.m. in the afternoon, and you're joining me for a live update channel question and answer session. This is actually just about the third anniversary of the channel. It's been full of surprises. I can see there are 16 people in the stream here, just a couple talking. Let me go over our plan for today. I've actually got my slides as normal. Let's see if we can do this. Okay, so where's my outline here? We'll go over some channel statistics, maybe a little more briefly than normal. I'll recap the videos that have been put up in the last few months. We're going to spend a little bit of time talking about the improv Sherlock Holmes by mail type system that we played. That was sort of the hallmark of the last couple months. Talk about upcoming plans. I'll recommend a couple YouTube channels, and then we'll take questions if there are any. If there aren't, we'll just have a short session here. Okay, so reminders. As far as reminders go, I would like to remind you that if you like the videos on this channel, if you like this channel and appreciate what I'm doing, give it a thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel. It doesn't hurt you. It makes me feel good. And I should also remember to say that, which I sometimes forget in the reviews, that I have no relationship with any publishers or companies. I buy all of the games we play on this channel myself. At some point, I may start a Patreon just to raise money to purchase the games. But I do that so that we feel like we have no conflicts. We try to keep ourselves as bias-free as possible and give ourselves the freedom to say bad things about games when we don't like them and not feel obligated. Normally that means that I don't get games until they've been out for a while. All of the reviewers got their review copies long before I get my copies, but in the last couple months I have managed to pick up a couple of games before they've gotten much coverage, and we'll talk a little bit about those in a bit. Okay, let's look at some channel statistics. It would be nice if all channels had this information publicly available. This is probably of no interest to you, but maybe of interest to someone who might think about starting a board game YouTube channel, which is fraught with danger in terms of your relationships. But let's just look at these stats. So for the last 90 days, it looks like subscriptions have ticked up substantially. I'm not sure why. Views have gone up 20% compared. This is over the last 90 days, which is what I've been doing these live updates 4 times a year. Last one was in September. And then at the bottom, I've got a plot of the entire 3 years of the channel. You can see it's basically not much changed. A little bit changed in the first year, went up, and then it's been going up a little bit lately. I'm not sure you can detect any pattern there. There's a little bit of a smiley face towards the end of the whole 3 years, because I just wanted to remember to note that after 3 years, the channel got its first official mention. And that's some YouTube feature that I joked about for a long time. And Rado's channel mentioned my review of Daybreak. Talked about how people say that the long, deep dive reviews are a thing of the past, but here was one that was doing the old school way. Okay, so that was that. It didn't have much of an impact on viewers, but it was fun to get. And I think I'm going to try to do these official mentions. I think you have to put it in the description of the video. That's what it is. Like, it's something you put in the description of the video. All right. So let's go through some of the videos that went up in the last 3 months. Greg and I reviewed and played through Mists Over Carcassonne, a cooperative version of Carcassonne. I put up a review of Perspectives, More of a first impressions, and I want to come back to that if we have some time at the end. That was a brand new game that didn't have any coverage when my review went up, so that was nice. I did another roundup of Deadbolt Mystery Society games. That makes 15 games played on the channel and reviewed. Texas Chainsaw Massacre, we put up a review very early before there was much coverage, although there was some coverage of it. We really didn't like it. And it sort of shocked me how many positive reviews there were of Texas Chainsaw Massacre game, including a very odd one from the Dice Tower. Felt like a broken game to us, so that was really strange. Then I put up a single review of The Messenger and Witchery Spell, some very deluxe premium escape room games that might be good gifts. One for very hard, serious people that took us 5 sessions, and one for much more of an experience. So if you're interested in those, you can watch that review. I put up a review of Matt Leacock's Daybreak, which I said was good but not great. Still no reviews of that to speak of on YouTube or on Board Game Geek. Maybe 1 or 2 short written reviews. I am very curious to see how the reviews come through of that. I speculated that they might be more positive than they should be, but I'm waiting to see other people's opinions. I'm very curious to see what other people say about Daybreak. Then I did a review of 3 escape room games by different companies that were new to us. 2 I was very positive about. 1 just wasn't quite for me. I posted a review of True Crime Stories, and I posted a review of the Sherlock Files system, which I was quite taken with, even though your mileage may vary. What really happened in the last 3 months was lots of live streams. In fact, about 136 hours of live streams, which comes out to about 10 hours per week. Much of that happened in October when we did a lot of marathon streaming of creepy games. We played 5 cases from Mythos Tales and finished that box. We played 5 boxes of Deadbolt Mystery Society. We played The Messenger, which took us about 25 hours over 5 sessions. We played The Witchery Spell on Halloween. We played an odd hybrid game art project called Albrecht Manor. I have the follow-up to that if we want to play it. We played a whole bunch of play-by-mail sessions from Dear Holmes. And then an idea came from playing that, which I'll talk about at the end. We played 2 cases finally from Mugbook, the 1982-83 very ultra rare out of print game, and surprisingly good. I'm definitely interested in playing more of that. We played 2 games from Cryptic Killers. I believe that leaves only 1 left to play. One of which we played, Murder in Miami, brand new when it just came out. In fact, it's not in US stores yet. I ordered it from Amazon UK. We played a Conundrum box, Escape the Crate game for Halloween. Those were quite fun. I had my first live game development discussion, which I'm going to be doing every month from now on. In fact, the second one is next week. Next weekend will be the second live stream where I'll be discussing High and Low, the mystery narrative 1930s, 1940s noir detective game based on Sherlock Holmes that I've been working hard on. And I have a bunch of volunteers from the channel that are working on it. Michelle, who's writing up some history stuff, and 2 artists, Adam and Logan. Next week, I'm going to show you some art. I'm going to discuss some new ideas, and a couple people are going to start writing cases. I really would love to have some more volunteers to write cases, to do other various things. So I hope you'll tune in next week for that session. Last night, we played a brand new game that I stumbled on at the game store that just came out yesterday called Penny Dreadfuls of Victorian London, which was a very odd game. It was an interesting live stream. We played the tutorial scenario, and we may play it tonight if you're interested in that. And then the other thing that was really the highlight of the last month or so was this improv Sherlock Holmes thing that was created by one of the viewers on the channel that we played weekly for a month. And I have a separate section I'm going to talk about that. And I actually have a little epilogue for us to read today, which we'll do. Let me just check in with the chat a little bit here. John Kingsbury says, Jesse, in the early days of the channel, I seem to remember a slogan to keep audiences small. Am I misremembering? What numbers would you be happy with? That's an interesting question. Yeah, sometimes I put on the videos a little thing that says, keep this channel small, tell no one. I joke about it. There is no magic number. There's no money being made off this channel. There's no money that's ever there. I have no desire to make any money off the channel. This is a hobby. Why I'm doing this channel, I can't really tell you. It's a mystery to me. However, it has evolved over time to be something that gives me a huge amount of pleasure. Just to play these games, talk with the channel, and it's very relaxing for me. So I'm doing it for my own enjoyment and satisfaction. I have a little bit of concern at some point that there's a limit to the number of people that I can interact with meaningfully on the channel during live plays, but there's a bunch of things that makes that self-regulating. I do these streams at 11 p.m., they're 6 hours long, so really it's a very select group of people that can hang in for those live streams. So for the live streams, it seems to take care of itself, but as far as viewers, it's fun to get the thumbs up. It's occasionally fun to say, hey, a lot of people are watching this video. But on the other hand, in terms of psychology, it's kind of harmful. It's best not to worry about that, pay too much of attention to it. And it doesn't matter. If there are no viewers of the channel, I still do it. It's still fun. My philosophy is you do these YouTube things as if you're on a spaceship, leaving videos for the aliens that might discover your dead body in the spaceship. Okay, let's go back to our thing here. Okay, what's next? Oh, it's time to talk about the improv Sherlock Holmes. Okay, so I want to talk about this idea, which we wrapped up, we finished last week. But some of you may not have followed that, may not have watched that series, and I want to talk about how special it was. So for a year now, we've been playing games on Sunday afternoons at 3 p.m., mail-based games. Normally, I stream long sessions around midnight, around 11 p.m., but on Sundays, for a different crowd, we started playing these play-by-mail games, and we've played a couple of them that have different formats, but they all have one thing in common, which is you get a reply in the physical mail once a week, typically. You decide what to do in some cases, like the play-by-mail Murders by Mail game. In Dear Holmes, you don't have any actions. You just get a letter that's unfolding a mystery, and after 3 or 4 letters, then you get the solution. And in the meantime, the way we do it here on the channel is we discuss the letter, we discuss our theories, and try to solve the case. Okay. So about a month and a half ago, we finished one session of Dear Holmes, one series over the course of a month, and I said, wouldn't it be, we had some complaints about it, about the nature of the solution, and I said, wouldn't it be cool if someone, instead of having a pre-written mystery divided into 4 parts, what if someone actually watched our playthrough and modified the mystery as it unfolded? As they listened to our theories, maybe they could tweak it so that it wouldn't be too easy or too hard, and maybe they could let us decide what to do. I put this idea forward at the end of one of our sessions, and one of the viewers of the channel, Matt C., said, I'll give it a try. Let's try it. What the hell? The next week, we got our first letter. It looked much like this. Oh, I didn't turn on my cameras here. Let's see. Okay, so it looked much like this. And Matt C. wrote the first letter describing a case, and then 2 other volunteers, audience members of the channel, helped. Rob, who helped with the graphic layout of stuff, making things look period appropriate, and Debbie Levy, who did lots of editing to make the text sound period appropriate. And we played 4 or 5 sessions, and it was just about the most deluxe, fancy, well done case compared to Dear Holmes. It exceeded everything. It was really quite elaborate, and it was amazing to experiment with this idea. We basically wrote free-form replies of what we wanted Watson to do, and then a week later we got replies and we tried to solve it. We solved parts of it. We had a really epic finale. If you're interested in watching how that unfolded, you can watch those 5 streams. At the end of the last one, we talked a lot about it and how satisfying it was. I had a couple minor criticisms. One was that we had been interacting with Watson this whole time, but we didn't get a final letter from him. We got Holmes trying to being his normal smug self. And in the last letter, we were told this very cool thing about how our client's husband started a new cab company. And we were issued a share of stock. We wondered where the share was. I suspect what we're going to get here in this epilogue that Matt has prepared for us are answers to those things. The other thing that happened in the last session is that I did an interview with Matt on the channel live. It was the first time I've done that. And it was fun to set up the technology so we could have a live interview and the audio and video look and sound and look good. I think it did. I'm not generally a fan of interviews talking on the phone. I mean, I hate talking on the phone, talking to people on Zoom, whatever. And I really don't like doing interviews. I've done a couple of them for other things, for my website Donation Coder, and I'm not well suited for it because I don't like the position of not being the star of the interview. I don't know how to describe that. Like, I don't want to be interviewed, but I also don't like the idea of being the person who has to be subordinate. I don't know how to explain. It doesn't sound good. I know I'm not painting a good picture of myself, but there's certain qualities that good interviewers have, like curiosity about someone's life, and I'm not particularly good at that. Okay, so we're going to open this letter, this epilogue. I know that did not sound good. I recognize that did not make me sound like a good person, the way I explained it. You'll just have to cut me some slack. It's not that I explained it poorly. I think it's a reasonable description of the problem. But okay, so here we go. We've got our extra letter here, and indeed it is a letter from John Watson, December 9th, 1889. Dear Mr. Reichler, I would like to reach out to you and formally thank you for your assistance with the Harrington case. I apologize for not doing so sooner, but my clinic has unfortunately been quite full. While treating those suffering from opium withdrawal, I'm sadly reminded of the tale I shared from my time in Afghanistan. It was some consolation, however, to see several of my patients relieved to finally be free of opiates. I believe Mrs. Harrington has already informed you of her husband's recovery. Seems your fortunes will be tied to theirs. Mr. Whitcomb proved resourceful during our investigation, so I'm optimistic regarding the success of his new venture. Mr. Abernathy also eventually recovered in my clinic. He's remorseful for the trouble his actions may have caused and will be facing some charges for falsifying records. I enjoyed our time working together, but with Sherlock Holmes back at his residence, I'm bound to be his assistant and documentarian once more. Perhaps I will write about our adventures as well. Best regards, John Watson. Okay, so very nice to get a personal reply from Watson, who worked with us, and look what we've got here. It is our share of the Harrington Whitcomb Carriage Company. And if you don't know exactly what this is, you'll have to watch our previous streams. Look at this. Harrington Whitcomb Carriage Company, 25 pounds. One paid up share, very fancy. Got my name on it. So those of you who played along with us, Rob and Matt have got a copy of this in the Discord for the channel. You can find a link on the About page of this YouTube if you want to get your share of the carriage company, assuming you helped us save Mr. Harrington. Okay, pretty darn cool. Matt says the certificate was all Rob's work. I think I will probably frame this. All right. Pretty fun. Anyway, I loved the play-by-mail thing. I'm very intrigued. I'm a big fan of the play-by-mail systems, and I think we're going to talk a little bit about that during one of the upcoming game development live streams. Okay, back to our outline here. We've done that. Okay, upcoming plans for the channel. I've already mentioned the game development live streams, which will begin in, well, we already had one, but they're going to kick into serious gear at least once a month going forward. The first one is next week. I hope you'll join me for that. We're going to play a first real case of that Penny Dreadfuls game, which is behind me somewhere. There you see it right there. And it was a very weird experience, maybe a horrible game, maybe interesting new mechanics. We talked about it yesterday. We may play that tonight. Tonight, if not tonight, sometime this week. In December, I will be here over Christmas and New Year's live streaming. I do like to do that over the holidays. And we've been talking about doing the biggest mystery box, most expensive, longest one that I have, which is a game by Cozy Killer. These are like $400 12-box games. And so maybe we're going to be doing that over Christmas. I think we tentatively scheduled that for December 18th. I'm a little concerned that I've got my deadlines for the game for High and Low. So I'm having some second thoughts about that. But we will be doing live streams over Christmas and New Year's. I also want to record another sort of Christmas gift recommendations. I've done one in the past, cooperative board game recommendations. I think most of my recommendations from last year stay the same for this year, so I'm not sure there's much of a point. And I also want to do a couple of videos about recommending where to start if you want to start playing a cold case game or a mystery game. A couple of people ask me that on the YouTube videos occasionally. I think it's time for me to do videos on that. I've already talked about, well, I want to talk about reviews versus first impressions for a second here and talk about something I'm going to try to be better at. So I posted a review of Perspectives, which is Dave Neal's cooperative mystery game. Very clever. You should watch my review of it. It's a very interesting system. It's got 3 cases in the box. You split up the cards in a group. All of you have partial information, lots of pictures and text, and you talk through it. Greg and I played the first case. I recorded a review of it. Greg recorded a review of it as well on his channel. Pretty glowing review. I rated it a 9. Then we played the second case. Now, I put up the review before playing the second case. I played the second case and I liked it considerably less. Now, part of that was just not being in the right mood for it, but it really does remind one that all of these rush to put out reviews, which I feel fall victim to occasionally. Most of the mystery games are only playable once. So when you do a review of a mystery game, that's it. You can't have played it more. But some of these other cooperative games, we really are not playing that much before we review them. And it's a little bit dangerous and scary to do so, especially if you change your mind. So I think I'm going to try to do better about saying when something is better understood as a first impressions video rather than a full, detailed, deep review after lots of plays. And maybe do a better job of following up on a video if a game has fallen for me. Okay, so that's, I've already talked about how playing these mystery games on the channel with the group that plays along with me has turned out to be, and maybe someone can explain this one day, has turned out to be like a meditative, relaxing thing. It doesn't feel like social interaction. So more of that. We'll be doing more of the same. Okay, I did want to recommend 2 channels today. The first one is Greg's new board game channel called Wachacha's Tabletop World. He's got a bunch of reviews and rules overviews. And the other channel I wanted to recommend is a channel that started coming up in my feed called The Gamery. This is a husband and wife couple. They have under 1,000 subscribers, and what's remarkable is, first of all, it has good production quality, but also covering a lot of the mystery games, many of the ones that we play on this channel. So if you're looking for an alternative to this channel, maybe with a couple interacting rather than just someone playing solo, you can see here they've played through True Crime Stories, the postal game that we played on the channel. Can I actually go here? What's going to happen if I click on this?
Welcome
that's
to
Greg's
channel.
channel.
World,
okay.
A channel devoted to the love of board games.
They were
My
playing
name is
maybe
Steve
in trouble here in terms of being able to stop these.
All kinds of other games, but
You're probably hearing both at the same time now. All right, that didn't quite work. Because, why doesn't it work? Because it's not showing me those videos. Okay, so I can't play them for you, but go check out The Gamery and Wachacha's Tabletop World. You may find something interesting there for you. Okay, I think we're done. I think it's time for questions. Teresa asked me one offline. Do I have regrets? Do I have any regrets playing a game that turned out horrible? The answer is not really, but so I like talking about games as much as actually playing them, sometimes more. I get kidded by friends that I like to read the rule books and teach a game even more than I enjoy playing it. And when a game collapses, when it's not great, if there's some interesting mechanics and ideas, especially new ideas in mystery genre of games, it's fascinating to me. I like to see it. The only time there have been problems on this channel have been a couple times where I've had a lot to criticize about a game and the author has been present. And one of the reasons why occasionally I get contacted by a company saying, we'd like to send you a review copy. And I say, no, don't do it. I'll buy it if it's something interesting to me. I don't like the feeling of knowing the person who's made the game. It makes it harder to criticize, and I try to be unbiased about things here. And we've had a couple of experiences on the channel, if you followed, a couple of very positive experiences where we've loved a game and gotten a chance to talk to the author, or the author contacts us and says, I watched your playthrough. It was so fun to watch you guys play it and enjoy it. But we've had a couple of noteworthy times on this channel where things have gone wrong a little bit. The authors of Vienna Connection, which we loved, came on the channel and talked with us after we finished it. And then we played Dune House Secrets by the same authors, and they stopped by, heard us really talking negatively about it, and then left. The most famous case on this channel was Gregory Pravat, who wrote Bureau of Investigation, Investigations into Arkham and Elsewhere, Sherlock Holmes Consulting Detective H.P. Lovecraft mashup, that we played through all of the cases on the channel, liked quite a few of them, One case we really complained about, and Gregory asked me to take down the video, which I didn't do, and that created a little bit of bad blood there. But I mostly have very good things to talk about with that box. I put up a review. I recommended it. But some people have thicker skin than others. So those are the things that I don't regret, but it pains me a little bit. On a related note, you see behind me the latest Suspects box. We've played, there's 3 boxes of Suspects. Each one I've had a lot to criticize. And this latest box, I felt like, maybe I should wait and not review it yet. Let me give someone else a chance to put up a more positive review. And I feel a little uncomfortable being like negative, semi-negative review of both boxes. Not really negative, but anyway. So those are the only things that that are adjacent to regret. All right, so now we're going to just talk about whatever you want to talk about. If you guys have questions, I'd love to hear what you guys are up to, what you do in your spare time, hobbies. Happy to hear it. I've got my Papua New Guinea coffee. I wanted to show you, this is what I do. If you're a coffee drinker, you get your bags of coffee, 1 pound. What we do is we have a bunch of these mason jars. We cut off the lid, the label from the bag, tape it onto a mason jar for the coffees that we drink a lot of, and then only put like a little bit in and freeze the rest. That way we can have 5 different jars in the pantry and drink from any of them without them going bad. When they run out, we refill it. So that's my little tip and trick for the coffee drinkers. I'm drinking a Papua New Guinea washed coffee from Mad Goat. That's a sort of local coffee roaster here that I really like. Okay, let's go in with the chat and see if there are any questions. Emmy says, do you plan to go back to Deer Holmes after Christmas, New Year, or will you put something else in this Sunday time slot? Yes, we're going to go back to Deer Holmes. I've got 5 letters that have stacked up while we were doing our own improv. So next week, probably on Sunday, will be the game development stream. But after that, we will be back on our play-by-mail cases every Sunday back to Deer Holmes. Matt C says, any games you've played off channel that you wish you could have streamed? Yes, every time if Greg and I have a playthrough, I always would have preferred to record it. I've done a lot of I like the idea of the camera on the wall, the old Maisels brothers. You just put the camera and record everything. So I would, if it was up to me, everything would be recorded. But my friends don't like that idea. So there are a couple of things I really miss being recorded. And the one that jumps out on the channel, there's a folder on my computer of little sidebar discussions that have been deemed too risky to put on the channel for fear of cancellation. I'm pretty left-wing, but independent. I hate all the politicians and all the politics and stuff. So I occasionally say something impolitic or that might raise some cackles from audience. So I'm not allowed to put those on the channel. Occasionally I ask one of my friends, can I put this on the channel? And they're like, no, you can't. That's too risque or whatever. Anyway, there's that. But there are occasional times that Greg and I have been playing a game and I really wish something happens during it that I really wish was recorded. And the one that I remember most was Paleo, because Paleo is a very good game and we've played through a bunch of it, including the expansion, and really enjoyed it. But the first playthrough of Paleo was just an insane experience trying to assemble this one part. And I really wish that was on camera, because I cannot convey how ridiculous it was trying to assemble this thing with the instructions and not being able to do it. Okay, let's see, what else? Megan says, got a question for you. Shazner and I just got back from Japan. We had a great time exploring board game shops, picking up some Japanese mystery games. Are you into any international mysteries? Well, one of our favorite companies is the Hidden Game series and Adventure. Those are from Germany. Germany has a thriving board game scene and mystery game scene. France loves Sherlock Holmes. France has a couple of French-only Sherlock Holmes games and books. One is called Super Sherlock. If you can read French, you might want to check out those. My wife is native Japanese, so she could play some of these Japanese games. And Jonathan found a little cold case, an older Japanese one, but the reviews aren't so good. I'm very curious to try them. Maybe when I get over to Japan, we'll go looking for them as well. Joseph Mayu says, I understand where they're coming. This is such a niche spot of the gaming hobby, which is itself also quite niche. So any negative feedback can seem like it might hinder the small group of buyers. That's absolutely true. That's the other. It's the stress of giving a negative review to a small company, especially like a mystery company selling their own games off their own website that doesn't have any reviews. It's much more stressful than doing some review of some big box game where my words aren't going to mean anything. So yes, Joseph May is absolutely right. All right. Any other questions? I mean, we can just sit here and hang out for a little bit. I'd love to hear what you guys are up to. Let me see. I guess I can bring this up here. If there are questions, I can put them on the screen. Water says, I've been working on a website tool for creating polls. So on the Board Game Geek Guild for this channel, if you don't know what that is, Board Game Geek lets groups make guilds, which are basically just small sections of the Board Game Geek forum. We've got a section for this channel where I post all the games as I acquire them that are up for scheduling, that we could schedule if people want to play. There's hundreds of games there now, and keep track of the ones we already played. And I was saying there, it would be nice if there were a way for people to vote on them so I could know what games people are most interested in playing. Right now, we just say, if you're interested in playing a game, you know, please let me know, and let me know when you're available, when you would like to schedule it. And Water has been experimenting with creating a little website that would let us easily vote on games. Not binding, of course. This is not a democracy. I have to really want to play the game. But if I'm deciding between a couple games, I'd be happy to lean on the one that more people want to play. Typically, though, Jonathan Warner gets final say. Jonathan Warner is my old-time person who's been playing games with me the longest here on the channel. Let's see. Shazner says, I'm going to scan some Japanese mystery games, posting them. Yeah, I'd love to see them. If we find a particularly good one that looks particularly good, I could try to rope my wife into interpreting for us. What else? And it looks like we'll be able to pull this stream in under an hour, which would be good. What else? Teresa is telling us about her cruise photos in the channel. Teresa doesn't stay on topic always. And this shirt's a little big for me. I do like it, though. This is a local Champagne shirt person. Anything else? I mean, if you guys have nothing to say, one of the things I realized is that I do enjoy having the downtime. When we play these mystery games on the channel, I come from a long family of slow and deep thinkers rather than quick thinkers. So I need one of the advantages to playing these games with the channel is I can take my time. When I want to focus on something, I just sit in silence and the channel talks amongst themselves. But that works out well for us. Matt says, I noticed you've been trading used games. How do you package these up and what service do you use? Yeah, I mean, in general, I've traded a lot of games over the years through Board Game Geek. Board Game Geek has a game trading system where you can propose trades. The cost of shipping has gotten so high that it rarely makes any sense to do anything but a trade of large numbers of games. And I sell every year a bunch of games in a garage sale that we have locally. But the mystery games are a little different because the mystery games we play, you can only play once. You have to be very careful not to write on them and reassemble them. So it takes a little more care to package and share them. You have to have a little more trust that the person you're trading with didn't write on or destroy anything. And it's a little more compelling to trade such games because they're expensive and you can only play them once. There are a couple of groups that I found that are good for buying these used games. Of course, you can buy them on eBay. Facebook has a group called The Puzzle People, which is very busy and popular, and people frequently post used games for sale there, and you can generally trust that those are in pretty good condition. We've set up a little section of the Discord for people who want to trade games, and I've been trading a couple games with one person, Jonathan Jang in the channel. We've traded a bunch of the expensive ones. So I'm trying to remember what big game we got from Jonathan. I think the Blair Witch series we played. But I just sent them via UPS. It's expensive. I keep hearing people talk about pirate ship or something. I don't really understand that, but maybe that's the way to go. Shazner said, any chance of your wife joining the stream? I mean, my wife is not really into that kind of stuff. She's shy. She doesn't get the enjoyment out of it. So she's got her hobby. She's out climbing mountains, doing traditional trad climbing, they call it, with setting up anchors and stuff. She likes the outdoors. This idea of being in a closed room with the windows shut does not appeal to her. Macon Weary says, just passed on Murder at Merivale Manor to my niece. It'll be interesting to see if she's into it. Well, Murder at Merivale Manor, the Cryptic Killers game, was one of our favorite games. It's a little advanced, though, so I do worry about that being someone's first experience. But we'll see. You'll see if she does like it, she's got a whole world to discover. All right. What else? I've got my mug, my tea mug that some of you are on the channel made for us. On the back it says, this could get us killed or it could break the case wide open. I guess a little quote from one of our streams. And this is my little espresso cup that you can order if you want. There's a link to it somewhere on the About page. It's from Zazzle. I don't make any money off it if you order it. It's just priced at cost. Delia says, I started working on a game as a gift for my sister. It's turning out bigger than I expected. Would you be interested in giving it a playthrough on this channel when it's ready and playtested? Absolutely. We are fully capable. We like to talk about game design on this channel and talk about the positives and the negatives. But we're also fully capable of looking at a game as a work in progress, as an amateur piece of work, and looking for constructive criticism. So if you're open to constructive criticism, then I'd be happy to play it. Happy to play it and talk about it. Delia says, next year, most probably. Sure, absolutely. Happy to play it and try it and give feedback. All right, well, there's always the next channel update. in another 3 months. We don't have to sit here forever. I'm trying to think if I want to play the Penny Dreadfuls game tonight. I think probably yes. It's a little one of the pleasures of doing a YouTube channel as a hobby rather than as a business is there's all sorts of decisions you would make if your primary concern was viewers and subscriptions, and then there's decisions you can make if it's just for fun. And one of the benefits of doing this for fun is that I can wait until I'm in the mood to play a game and not worry about scheduling the same day of the week, etc. Although I can see why it might be nice if people had a more predictable schedule for this channel. Maybe we can think about that in the future. All right, let's end it here. Thank you for joining me. I really do appreciate having a group here to talk to. It is nice to catch up and hear about your lives. I'll see you tonight if you want to join me for the playthrough of Penny Dreadfuls. Otherwise, stop by the Board Game Geek Guild and help us decide what games you want to see played next. Thanks for joining me. I'll see you next time.